Picture this, right fucking now, while the Appalachian mist is still clawing at the ridges like a ghost that never learned how to die. Eustace Conway, the last man who told civilization to shove its Wi-Fi up its exhaust pipe and actually meant it, just shattered 15 years of sacred silence in a confession so raw it peeled the bark off every tree on Turtle Island. The man who built a 1,000-acre kingdom with nothing but blisters, buckskin, and a middle finger to building codes just stepped out of the wilderness like a prophet who'd been arguing with God and finally won. Eyes burning with the kind of truth that makes microphones tremble. And what spilled out wasn't a press release, wasn't a TED Talk, wasn't some bearded influencer selling $300 fire strikers. It was a gut punch revelation that flipped every Mountain Men episode inside out and left the entire planet gasping like a trout on a hot rock. Deep in the Blue Ridge where cell signals go to commit suicide, Eustace stood on. The same porch his bare hands hewed from locust logs back when Clinton was still chasing interns, and he let it rip. People think I ran away because I hate the world. Wrong. I ran toward it so I could see what the hell was killing it. Boom. Mic drop in the middle of nowhere. For decades, the world watched him on History Channel splitting kindling and skinning deer like it was performance art. But what they never saw were the nights he sat alone with a bottle of homemade persimmon wine staring at dying hemlocks, whispering, "I'm sorry," to trees older than Jesus, because some bureaucrat in Raleigh decided hand-hewn cabins without PVC pipe were a threat to public safety. Early 2000s, the state came with clipboards and cease and desist orders, threatening to bulldoze every ridgepole, every dovetail joint, every dream he'd bled into the dirt since 1970-something. Finding him into the ground for the crime of living like his great-grandpappy did before electricity turned men into screen zombies. He could have lawyered up, could have gone full Unabomber manifesto. Instead, he went ghost, deeper into the Laurel hells where even ravens lost his trail. Because screaming at idiots is just noise and silence. Real silence is a blade that cuts both ways. And in that silence he listened, not to podcasts, not to politicians, not to the endless dopamine drip of doom scrolling, but to the earth itself coughing up plastic and pesticides, to springs that used to taste like ice now tasting like battery acid, to chestnut trees that once fed entire counties now nothing but ghost stumps bleeding canker, to birds showing up 2 months early because the planet's internal clock is drunk on carbon. He watched migration routes fracture like cracked ice, watched winters turn into bipolar tantrums, watched the forest floor go quiet where it used to sing with frogs and salamanders, and every dead thing whispered the same question. How much longer are you gonna let them cook us, Eustace? So he wrote it all down in journals bound with sinew and sadness, pages and pages of proof that the apocalypse isn't coming. It's already here wearing Lululemon and ordering DoorDash to the gates of Turtle Island. Then he cracked open the vault nobody knew existed, the one labeled Dad. Turns out the old man wasn't just strict. He was a human chainsaw, carving Eustace down every time he reached for the sky, telling him no amount of straight S or perfect squirrel skins would ever be enough, that real men conquer, dominate, own, never bow to anything, especially not dirt. So Eustace did what any self-respecting mountain child would do. He bowed to the dirt, kissed it, married it, built his whole damn life in it just to prove love could outlast hate. The woods never called him worthless, never measured his worth in bank accounts or body counts, just opened their arms and said, "Come bleed here, boy. We'll teach you how to be whole." Anger kept him alive for years, righteous, molten, the kind that could forge steel or burn a man hollow. Until one morning, knee-deep in a trout stream, so cold it felt like forgiveness, he realized holding that grudge was just renting space in his soul to a dead man. So he started writing letters, actual letters on birch bark and buckskin, to cousins, nieces, nephews he hadn't seen since Nixon, telling them, "Come sit by my fire. Let me show you what your great-grandfather forgot to teach your grandfather." Because even a lone wolf figures out eventually the pack is the only thing that keeps the darkness from winning. And yeah, he admitted the TV circus dam near killed the dream. Mountain men rolled in with generators humming like mechanical hornets, turning sacred ground into a soundstage, directors yelling, "More drama," while he was trying to teach some city kid how to brain tan a deer hide without puking. Strangers started showing up unannounced like he was Dollywood with buckskins, snapping selfies with his outhouse, asking if he had Wi-Fi, expecting him to pose with a tomahawk and a grin like a bearded Mickey Mouse. He almost torched the whole contract, almost vanished for good into the Smoky Mountain mist where even satellites lose the signal. But then the letters came, kids writing, "Mr. Conway, because of you I planted a garden," veterans saying, "I watched you split wood and remembered I'm still alive." And something in him cracked open like spring ice on the New River. So he stayed, swallowed the circus, kept the message pure even when the editors spliced it into soap opera bullshit. Because one seed planted in one kid's heart was worth 1,000 seasons of ratings. He spoke of the dead too, voice dropping to that register that makes owls shut up and listen. Brothers in arms crushed by widowmaker logs. Sisters swept away when the French Broad jumped its banks like a mad preacher. An old mentor who walked into a January wideout with nothing but a wool shirt and a pocket knife and became forever part of the mountain. Every trail on Turtle Island has a grave marker nobody carved. Every chimney stone was placed by hands that don't exist anymore, and Eustace still sets an extra plate at supper for ghosts who never really left. "This land feeds on stories," he said, "and some stories end in blood and freeze." Then the final gut punch, the one that turned the whole room to stone. "Time's running out. Not for me. For everything." He's seen too many springs smell like chemicals, too many chestnut saplings strangled by invasive vines thicker than lies, too many kids show up knowing how to work an iPad, but not how to read the sky before a storm. He's been secretly mentoring the broken ones, veterans with 1,000-yard stares, foster kids who never had a home, city teens who thought food grew in plastic trays, teaching them to flint-knap arrowheads, to speak hoarse, to listen when the forest whispers your real name. Watched them arrive hollow and leave with fire in their eyes and calluses on their souls, because the land doesn't care where you came from, only that you show up willing to bleed a little. And the book, sweet Jesus, the book he's been carving into existence with a goosequill pen and ink made from walnut hulls and regret. Turtle Island isn't a survival manual. It's a love letter written in smoke and sap. Every page a confession, every chapter a scar, every word a seed he's planting for the day after he's gone. "If one child reads it and decides to live gently," he said, eyes shining like wet hickory, "then every fine, every lawsuit, every night I cried into a deer hide was worth it." He ended where he began, barefoot on the porch as the sun bled out behind the ridge. Same spot where he once stood defiant against inspectors with clipboards and now stands defiant against a world that forgot how to breathe. "I'm not here to warn anymore," he said, voice steady as ancient bedrock. "I'm here to remind you that every breath you take is borrowed from something older than your greed. Every step you walk is on the bones of something that loved you before you ever learned to hate." Then he turned, buckskin fringes catching the last light like flames, and walked back into the trees that raised him, footsteps fading into the same silence that once protected him and now protects us all, leaving behind a single sentence echoing through the hollows like thunder rolling down off Klingman's dome. "We are not separate from nature. We are nature waking up from a nightmare it's time to end." And somewhere in the dark between the pines, a barred owl asked the only question that matters. Who? Who? Who the hell is ready to listen before the forest goes quiet forever?